Hello everybody and welcome to this unboxing and first impressions video of the new Google Pixel 4 XL. And there's definitely a lot to like here. Now the first thing I really do want to talk about on this phone has got to be its build quality. Now obviously Google has been improving their build quality on all of their Pixel devices year over year. And personally I really like the build quality on the Pixel 3. But the build quality on the Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL like I got here just brings it up to a whole other level. Now, one of the things that I really like about this phone is that it's a very grippy phone. There's a metal band going all around, and on the back it feels like it's soft touch material. Now, obviously only time will tell how this phone stands up to scratches, but this is a phone that I would feel comfortable not having to slap a case on or put a skin on just because it's very grippy and the back doesn't seem like it's going to be a fingerprint magnet. Now, regarding the camera bump, it's a lot smaller than I expected, which personally I'm a really big fan of. Now, one of the things that I don't like about my iPhone XS Max is that camera bump is huge. And added with the fact that the XS Max is a very slippery phone, that's a phone that I reluctantly have to put a case on. But in general, I'm just really pleased with the build quality on the Pixel 4 XL. And it also doesn't hurt that it has a really good heft to it. But now, let's talk about the screen on this phone. Now, one of the drawbacks of the Pixel 4 XL is that its screen-to-body ratio isn't up there compared to a lot of other flagships out there these days. Now, the bezels on the side and the chin on this phone isn't bad at all, but this guy does have a pretty thick forehead. But personally, I would prefer this forehead over the god-awful notch on the Pixel 3 XL. Like, personally, every time that I would see that phone out in public, it would kind of like shock me a little bit, and I would just wonder like who approved of this. So even though the screen to body ratio on the Pixel 4 XL isn't up there like most other flagships these days, personally in the time that I've been using it, I don't even notice it. But something that I have noticed is the 90 hertz screen on this guy. Now, just for context, I've been using the iPhone XS Max for the last year as my main device, and I've been using the Pixel 3a as my secondary device. And over the last few months, you've seen videos on all of these new phones that have these higher refresh screens, and people saying that, you know, it's one of those things that you gotta see for yourself to actually appreciate it. So this is actually the first time that I've actually been able to experience a high refresh screen, and you gotta believe the hype. But you definitely notice that higher refresh screen on this guy when you're swiping between apps, but I've also even noticed a difference while I was playing Call of Duty Mobile on the Pixel 4 XL. Now, I've been playing Call of Duty Mobile on my iPhone XS Max for the last few days, but the game just looks much smoother on the Pixel 4 XL because of that higher refresh screen. And now when I switch between apps on my iPhone XS Max or when I'm playing Call of Duty on it, you definitely do notice those frames. So yeah, I'm a really big fan of the build quality in this guy. I really appreciate that the camera hump isn't that big, and then also that high refresh screen on this guy really does make a difference. Even though you can't really see it on camera, it's something that you just gotta see for yourself. Now, even though this phone has a great looking screen, another thing that caught me by surprise is just how great the speakers sound on the Pixel 4 XL. It sounds a little fuller, and it also gets significantly louder than the iPhone XS Max that I've been using for a year now. Now, when it comes to the face unlock on this phone, I am a little iffy. Now, it does work very fast, but one of the problems is that it's still going to unlock your phone even if your eyes are closed. So definitely, if somebody wants to gain access to your phone, they can just put your phone right in front of your face while you're sleeping and be able to get in. Now, this is definitely a big deal because with the iPhone is only going to unlock if you actually look at it. So I wonder if the Pixel 4 XL is going to be getting eye contact software updates for facial recognition, because that kind of seems like something really important to leave out. Now, another thing that I do want to address on this phone is that another big feature of it is that it now has radar detection thanks to Project Soli, so that you can interact with your phone without having to actually touch it. Now, some people have claimed that they actually haven't been able to get radar detection to work on this phone, but from my experience, it's actually been very accurate. Now, for me, I've had a very high degree of accuracy. It's natural to use, and as soon as I just start swiping in front of my phone, it just starts to skip in between tracks. But definitely one of the big things about Project Soli in general is that when they first demoed it a few years back, you saw people using these fine gestures to actually turn a knob or flip a switch. So personally, I am wondering if this phone is going to get software updates to improve on the radar detection on it, so that we can eventually get to somewhere where we're using very fine gestures to control maybe the brightness, the volume, and maybe even draw in mid-air to maybe touch up a photo, maybe draw down notes, maybe sketch something. I think there's a lot of potential here. And like I mentioned earlier, I do hope that this phone gets a software update so that its facial recognition can get an eye contact feature. Because personally, I'm not going to feel all that comfortable using facial recognition on this phone if it is just so easy to get in. But overall, those have been my first impressions on the new Google Pixel 4 XL. I'm a really big fan of the build quality on this phone. It's a very grippy phone, you can use it without a case, it feels sturdy, and I'm actually getting some HTC One M8 vibes from this phone, build quality wise, which, even till this day, the HTC One M8 has been one of my favorite phones ever. I really appreciate that the camera bump on this phone isn't all that thick, and I really like that high refresh screen. And for me, the speakers on this phone sound significantly better than my iPhone XS Max, which just makes watching and listening to videos a little more enjoyable. Now, for me, the radar feature on this phone has been working very well, but I do hope that we see more added functionality come to the radar feature on this phone. But for me, the biggest drawback on the Pixel 4 XL has got to be its facial recognition. Now, yeah, it works very fast, but it still works even if you have your eyes closed or if you don't make eye contact with the phone. So security isn't up there like on an iPhone, and I'm not going to feel comfortable using the facial recognition feature on the Pixel 4 XL until you can actually set it to unlock only if you make eye contact with it. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.